Hello dinosaur hunters, it's the Gaming Chad here, and in today's video, we're ranking all the weapons from Turok Evolution. After a quick YouTube search, it looks like nobody else has done this before for this game, which makes it the perfect opportunity for me to give it a shot. Now some of you may already know from a review I posted a while ago, I'm not the biggest fan of Turok Evolution's weapons. The weapons in this game have no real identity or roots. Most of them are just bland, dull, and gray, especially when compared to the badass arsenal we had in earlier titles. They lack the creativity and impact that made the weapons in previous games so memorable and recognizable. Example, instead of sticking with what worked 3 times in a row, they went full caveman and gave us hand-tossed grenades and scrapped the iconic grenade launcher everyone loved. This game seems more obsessed with showing off its fancy little animations instead of prioritizing variety, creativity, and fun. They scrapped iconic weapons so your pistol can suddenly identify as a sniper rifle. Genius. Anyway, enough of me moaning. I'll be judging each weapon based on performance, practicality, and how well they handle under pressure. Let's see how this goes, and hopefully, I don't start a war in the comments. Alright boys, let's get right into it. War Club. We start off with the very first weapon you're handed with. Unlike previous titles that traditionally give you a knife or a tomahawk, this time we get a War Club. It's the first major shift in melee design for the franchise. Its primary attack is a basic swing, while the secondary lets you charge up for a heavier blow, one that deals more damage and, let's just say, cures headaches permanently. After all, you can't have a headache if you don't have a head, right? So, design-wise, it looks primitive but dangerous, which fits the setting well. That said, once the bullets start flying, it loses relevance. At the end of the day, it's still just a melee weapon. You're not going to get far smacking dinosaurs with a stick while everyone else is packing plasma rifles and rocket launchers. As the old saying goes, don't bring a knife to a gunfight, unless you don't mind watching the loading screen on loop. F tier, despite the amazing design. Wooden bow. I don't say this a lot. The wooden bow in Turok Evolution is overpowered. It's one of the fastest firing weapons in the game. You can spam arrows faster than the pistol fires bullets, all while dealing more damage per shot. You can retrieve your arrows. You can even equip it with explosive arrows for extra versatility. The game cruelly snatches it away from you by Chapter 4, never to be seen again. Still, while it lasts, this thing does it all. Damage, range, rate of fire, and ammo efficiency, S tier. No debate. Use it, abuse it, and mourn its absence later. Pistol. Like every Turok game, Evolution includes a pistol, and it sticks close to the basics. It's a 9mm sidearm with a decent rate of fire and a respectable 30 damage per shot. Nothing flashy, it gets the job done early on. In Chapter 3, you get the so-called upgrade, a sniper scope. That's an interesting yet odd attachment for a pistol. I expected it to evolve into the iconic Mag 60 everyone loved. Instead, the scope ruins the pistol's rhythm. It adds sway, noticeable recoil, and slows down the fire rate significantly, with no damage increase to justify it. In short, it makes the pistol worse at the one thing it was good at, being a quick, reliable sidearm. If anything, if your aim is somewhat decent, it's better to avoid using the scope altogether. C tier, exactly average, despite not making use of that scope. Tech bow. The tech bow had a constant presence in the series. It's never been missing from the arsenal. However, despite the fancy name and its sniping potential, it just can't compete with the wooden bow. Sure, you get a poison arrow type, which sounds cool but is rarely practical. The tech bow has 2 major flaws. Considering the significantly slower rate of fire, you can't just go full Rambo mode like you did with the wooden bow. You have to be more careful and sneaky with it. It fires much slower, and you can't retrieve your arrows from bodies. For every step forward, it took 2 steps back. In the late game, you mostly rely on explosive arrows to make up for it. At least you keep this weapon for the whole game, so you better get used to it. Sniping with explosive or poison arrows is where it shines, but it's more like a slow, clunky sniper rifle. A decent weapon overall, but nowhere near as good as the wooden bow. B tier. Shotgun. Well, once again, Turok Evolution is the only game in the series with just one shotgun, no shredder, no auto shotgun, no explosive shells either. So does it at least measure up? As you've probably guessed, no. It's a basic pump-action shotgun with a massive spread, and its sole upgrade lets you load up to 4 rounds and blast them in one go. Cool, but hardly enough to save it. This thing is pathetically weak, both in damage and design. The spread is so wide and the damage so low that past 3 meters it becomes completely useless. You'll often find yourself shooting at a single enemy over and over just to land enough pellets to put them down. Even the pistol, of all things, will outperform it in scenarios where the shotgun should dominate. the gun just feels clunky and underwhelming to use. Sure, the quad-shot attachment sounds powerful, but the fact that you have to be at peeing distance for it to matter kind of ruins the fun. Anyway, I can't put it on the same tier as the pistol. D tier on a good day. Fléchette. Now, you might not have expected this, but I find this a very interesting weapon, despite the ugly, gray, blocky design. This weapon is fundamentally different from anything else in the series. It's the only semi-automatic gun, which allows you to shoot as fast as you can click. The rate of fire peaks at 10 shots per second, which is faster than most people can click anyway, and each dart deals 40 damage, more than the pistol and less than an arrow. There is, however, one minor drawback. The projectile speed is on the slower side, so it can be quite frustrating trying to hit moving enemies. You have to predict where the enemy is going to be before you shoot. So, yeah, it does have a bit of a weird learning curve. Once you get the hang of it, this weapon becomes a beast. It excels in both close quarters and long-range fights. It won't let you down. That said, it definitely earns its spots in A tier for its inconsistency. Minigun. I've decided to keep this separate from the Fléchette because it's not just an attachment, it's a fundamentally different weapon, considering it's using different ammo type. Statistically, this is the most powerful weapon in the game, hands down. It fires 10 rounds per second, which ironically is painfully slow for a minigun, but each shot deals an absurd 45 damage. Even bosses melt in seconds if you manage to land your shots. And here's where the catch is. The minigun has an extremely wide spread, making it nearly useless at mid-range or further. To get the most out of it, you need to be up close. It's great under pressure and absolutely shreds through airships and turrets. But outside of those moments, it's held back by its accuracy issues. Not the worst weapon in this game, but definitely the worst minigun in the series. B tier. Gravity Disruptor. Considered the most misunderstood WTF weapon in the game, this thing can actually be surprisingly useful. The first function is kinda trash though. Before you shoot an enemy, make sure there's a wall behind them so they might get crushed. I rarely use it. Sometimes enemies just float taking 0 damage while you waste ammo. The second function, that's where things get better. No matter how many enemies surround you, it pushes them back and outright kills weaker slugs in a single blast. In tight hallways, this weapon does all the work for you. The third function lets you grab a single enemy and slam them into objects or others. It can't pick up larger enemies though, and fails miserably under pressure. However, this weapon, if used correctly, can shine more than people give it credit for. It's a bit boring and confusing at first, but it does have its moments. That said, it's completely worthless against non-organic enemies like turrets, airships, or parachutes. So, while it has some utility, I'm ranking it behind the shotgun, D tier. Plasma Cannon. Interestingly, while the first game spoiled us with multiple variants, this is the only plasma-based weapon in TUROK Evolution. This one fires at a decent rate and deals 50 damage per shot, same as an arrow, making it a strong mid to late game weapon. The 2 upgrades are as follows. The Seeker Lens, which causes your shots to lock on targets but drops the damage down to 30 and consumes 2 ammo instead of 5. And the Chain Lens, which stuns enemies and allows shots to bounce between them, consuming 10 ammo. It's quite powerful and very versatile. But the biggest issue isn't its damage or its versatility. It's the ammo consumption. As soon as you shoot, you'll find yourself empty in no time. And to make matters worse, plasma ammo is rarely found. The gun performs well under any scenario, but it gives you very little mileage for how fast it drains. If ammo was better balanced, this could have easily been an S tier weapon, but as it stands now, B tier. Still a fantastic weapon, it's just badly ammo optimized. Rocket Launcher. What's better than 1 rocket? 4 rockets. It wipes out turrets and airships effortlessly and groups of enemies in one blast. Later, you get 2 attachments. The Swarm Bore, which drills into limbs and the head like a faster, nastier cerebral bore. And the Nuke. Sounds cool, but it can only be used once in the arena. Bit of a letdown and a gimmick, to be honest. And there are no homing missiles either, so you need to make each shot count. Instead of the Nuke attachment, it would have been cooler as a buildable or rechargeable weapon like the PSG from TUROK 3. Still, it hits hard and dominates when used well. As much as I want to rank it higher, it definitely needed more tweaking, better planning, and had a little more room for improvement. A tier. Flamethrower. The flamethrower makes a return from TUROK 2, but you'll barely get to enjoy it in Evolution, since the game takes it away not long after you get it. As expected, it spews out a stream of fire, but only at a painfully short range. To be effective, you have to get dangerously close, putting yourself at serious risk just to roast a couple of enemies. It's only really suitable for tight indoor areas where enemies have nowhere to run. The secondary fire launches 3 sticky napalm blobs that instantly kill weaker slugs, which sounds great, but I still prefer the primary mode. It's more consistent and saves ammo. Still, I have to rank this below the shotgun. The range is extremely limited, and unlike the shotgun, it can't damage airships, turrets, or parachutes. So yeah, it definitely loses when it comes to practicality. D tier, even behind the gravity disruptor. Grenades. I have no complaints about the damage or the splash radius. Both are totally fine, but they are missing the most basic grenade thing ever, a cook-off timer. Without it, grenades feel random and unpredictable. If you could just time your throws like a normal grenade, I'd actually use them frequently. On top of that, I really dislike that grenades take up a primary weapon slot. You can't just tap a key like G to toss one. You have to go through your weapons one by one to equip one, which is frustrating while getting blasted. Also, the throwing mechanics suck. It's hard to explain unless you've played the game, but if you're strafing to dodge bullets and throw a grenade at the same time, your character will launch it way off to the side, totally off the crosshair. This behavior can only be observed with the grenades. I don't consider this a real primary weapon, and with all its mechanical issues, E tier. And that's being generous. Spider mine. If you like to be sneaky without being any less dangerous, this is the tool for you. It's a spider RC that you can manually control, and it's effective at clearing out rooms without you even being there. However, it has its limitations. It can't open doors, and if you abort the deployment, you lose the weapon. Worst of all, its explosion is very weak. It barely injures enemies, so I never even bother with it. Personally, I always go for the poisonous gas instead. It lasts for 30 seconds, giving you more than enough time to take out a generous amount of enemies. If I had to rank it, considering this is still an attachment, I'm placing it above the grenades, therefore D tier. Dark Matter Cube. Not only does it look mystical, it can obliterate even the toughest slugs instantly with its primary mode, or create a deadly gravity well with its secondary, sending enemies straight to hell according to the game's manual. But let's be real for a second. Despite the flashy design and dramatic name, it's basically just a glorified grenade that explodes on impact. You can only carry one, and good luck finding another. It's a one-time use emergency weapon. The blast radius is pretty small too, so in terms of practicality, yeah, you might as well spam sticky grenades instead. Let's not pretend we just discovered fire. E tier. In front of the grenades, at least they're more consistent at their job. So, there you have it, guys. Every weapon and every gimmick broken down. Some shine, some disappoint, and others are just plain weird. If you pick your loadout wisely, there's still fun to be had, just not as much as before. Let me know what you think. See you in the next video.